The set of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen shimmered under the studio lights that evening, the air charged with anticipation. Producers hustled behind the scenes, cameras were checked one last time, and the studio audience buzzed with excitement. It wasn't just any guest walking onto the stage that night, it was Samuel L. Jackson, the legendary actor whose presence could fill a room before he even spoke a word. As Andy Cohen strutted out to greet the audience, his trademark mischievous grin already plastered across his face, he announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Samuel L. Jackson." The crowd erupted in cheers and applause. Jackson walked in with his effortless cool, wearing a tailored deep purple blazer, dark slacks, and his iconic Kangol cap. He gave a small salute to the audience before shaking Andy's hand and taking his seat. The interview started lighthearted, even fun. Andy complimented Jackson's latest blockbuster and teased him about his seemingly endless energy. Samuel, ever the charismatic storyteller, fired back with jokes that had the audience laughing nonstop. For the first 10 minutes, the vibe was perfect, two confident personalities trading banter, laughter echoing across the studio. But Andy Cohen wasn't one to stay on safe ground for long. His interviews often walk the razor's edge between entertaining and invasive, and tonight, he decided to test that boundary. "So, Sam," Andy began, leaning forward in his seat, "you've been pretty outspoken about Hollywood politics and some of your co-stars, let's say, questionable behavior." The audience murmured. They knew that tone. Andy was shifting gears. "Do you think maybe actors like yourself should tone it down a little, or do you enjoy stirring the pot?" Jackson raised an eyebrow, the corners of his mouth tightening slightly. He leaned into his microphone and replied, "Andy, I don't stir the pot. I just say what I think. Some people don't like hearing it, but that's not my problem." The crowd applauded, sensing a little tension but loving the sharp exchange. Andy chuckled, but his eyes sparkled with the thrill of a potential headline. "Right, but come on," he prodded, "you made that post last week calling out that actor for, quote, talking nonsense about privilege. You're telling me that wasn't aimed at anyone in particular?" Jackson gave him a long, level look. "Andy," he said calmly, "if I wanted to call someone out, I'd say their name. You don't need to read between the lines, I'm a pretty direct guy." The audience laughed nervously. Andy smirked, sensing an opening, and shot back, "Well, this is Watch What Happens Live, Samuel. You know I've got to ask the spicy stuff. It's what people love." Jackson crossed his arms, his body language shifting. The easy charm in his eyes hardened just a little. "You know, Andy, there's a difference between being curious and being messy. You might want to learn it." A ripple went through the audience. Andy's grin faltered, but he tried to keep the mood light. "Oh, come on, don't be like that. We're just having fun here. A little gossip never hurt anybody." Samuel's expression didn't change. His voice dropped lower, calm, but firm. "Nah, man, see, that's where you're wrong. Gossip hurts all the time. People lose jobs, reputations, respect, all because somebody wants to turn truth into a punchline." The air in the room shifted. The laughter was gone. The studio audience sat in total silence, eyes darting between the host and the Hollywood icon. Andy, ever the showman, tried to salvage the moment. "I think our viewers know how to tell the difference between a joke and a meltdown," he said with a forced chuckle. Samuel gave him a slow nod, unclipping the microphone from his blazer. "Yeah," he said evenly, standing up. "I'm sure they do, but I'm not here for either." Andy blinked, startled. "Wait, Sam, you're leaving?" he asked, half laughing, half panicked. Jackson didn't raise his voice. "I came to talk about my work, Andy. My craft. But if this is just about drama for ratings, you can have the show. I'm out." With that, he turned and began walking off the set. The audience gasped, some applauded in support, others just stared in disbelief. Andy sat frozen for a moment, watching one of Hollywood's most respected figures stride off stage without another word. Well, that just happened," Andy finally said, forcing a smile at the camera. "Live TV, folks, anything can happen." The crew scrambled behind him, unsure whether to cut to commercial or follow Jackson with a camera. Backstage, Jackson didn't stop moving. His assistant caught up, handing him his phone as he muttered, "Man, I don't do circus acts. Not for anybody." By the time he left the building, social media was already on fire. Clips of him walking off the set were being replayed, dissected, and debated. Some fans praised him for standing his ground, calling Andy disrespectful. Others accused him of overreacting. But Samuel L. Jackson didn't care. As his car pulled away from the studio, he looked out the window, expression calm again. "You can't bait me," he said quietly, half to himself. Not tonight. The internet was ablaze before the studio lights even cooled. Within minutes of Samuel L. Jackson walking off Andy Cohen's show, the clip had gone viral. Fans on X, formerly Twitter, posted frame-by-frame breakdowns of the confrontation, the tightening of Jackson's jaw, Andy's forced grin, the hush that fell over the audience just before the walk-off. Headlines popped up everywhere. Samuel L. Jackson shuts down Andy Cohen live on air, tension explodes on Bravo set, and Andy crosses the line with Hollywood legend. By sunrise, #Samuel L. Jackson walks off was trending worldwide. Memes flooded the internet, one showing Jackson's calm face captioned, "I'm tired of these snakes on this talk show." Another had Andy's shocked expression with, "When you realize you poked the wrong legend." But behind the humor was a serious conversation, one about respect, boundaries, and the lengths talk show hosts go for a viral moment. Andy Cohen, known for turning controversy into publicity, tried to downplay it at first. On his social media, he posted a breezy comment, "Love Sam, always keeps it real." Things got a little heated, but that's live TV, baby. Yet the tone didn't sit right with many. It felt dismissive, even smug. Critics and fans alike accused him of trying to gloss over what was clearly an uncomfortable and disrespectful moment. Behind the scenes, Andy's production team was in chaos. Emails poured in from Bravo executives and PR advisors urging damage control. Some suggested he issue a sincere apology. Others wanted to reframe the incident as a passionate debate between two outspoken personalities. But Andy, ever confident in his ability to charm his way out of anything, refused to back down at first. "It's good television," he reportedly told a producer. "People are talking about it, that's all that matters." Meanwhile, Samuel L. Jackson stayed silent. No interviews, no social media posts, no statements. The silence only fueled the fire. Fans admired his restraint, interpreting it as dignity in the face of cheap provocation. "He doesn't need to explain himself," one fan wrote. The walk-off said everything. 3 days later, Jackson's publicist released a short but powerful statement to major outlets. Mr. Jackson values open and honest conversations but will not engage in discussions that seek to sensationalize or distort his perspective for entertainment purposes. His focus remains on his work and integrity. The message was clear, calm, and unmistakably pointed. The response hit like a thunderclap. Journalists praised it as the classiest mic drop in Hollywood PR history. Fans shared the quote widely, turning it into a rallying cry against sensational talk show tactics. Even some of Andy Cohen's usual supporters admitted the statement made him look reckless. In the following week, more celebrities began to chime in. One former guest anonymously told Variety, "Andy's show can be unpredictable. Sometimes he tries too hard to get a reaction, and not everyone's okay with that." Another said, "He loves to blur the line between fun and disrespect. Sam just wasn't having it, and honestly, good for him." Cohen's reputation took a noticeable dent. His next few shows saw a dip in live viewership, and social media comments on Bravo's official accounts were filled with fans demanding he address the issue seriously. Eventually, Andy seemed to realize that charm and humor alone wouldn't smooth this over. A week after the incident, he finally addressed it directly on air. Sitting at his desk, expression unusually serious, he looked into the camera and said, "I want to take a moment to acknowledge what happened last week. Samuel L. Jackson is someone I deeply respect. We had a heated exchange, and maybe I crossed a line. I was doing my job, asking questions, but I understand how it came across. I wish him nothing but the best." The apology was short, but genuine enough to cool things down. Still, the internet never forgets. The clip of Jackson's walk-off remained one of the most watched moments in talk show history that year. Fans continued to share it as an example of standing up for yourself in real time. As for Samuel L. Jackson, he moved on swiftly. Just days later, he appeared on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, where the incident inevitably came up. Trevor, smiling mischievously, said, "I have to ask, Sam, that Andy Cohen thing, was that planned or just a spur-of-the-moment Jackson classic?" Samuel laughed, shaking his head. "Man, if I planned it, I'd have done it with a catchphrase," he joked, sending the audience into hysterics. Then, more seriously, he added, Look, I've been doing this a long time. I love talking about my work, but I'm not here to feed anyone's gossip machine. I'm too old for that nonsense. The crowd cheered, erupting into applause. Trevor nodded thoughtfully. You're one of the few people who can walk off a live show and somehow make it look cooler than staying. Jackson smiled. That's because I know when to leave the table, he said. Especially when respect isn't being served. That line, know when to leave the table, was quoted across social media, printed on t-shirts, and even used in motivational posts. It became symbolic of setting boundaries, not just in Hollywood, but in everyday life. Months later, Andy Cohen extended a private invitation for Jackson to return to the show. Sources said the offer included full control over the topics and tone of the conversation. Jackson reportedly declined, with a polite, two-word reply, all good. He didn't need to return. He'd made his point the night he walked off, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. And that moment, replayed millions of times around the world, reminded everyone watching that even in an industry built on performance, authenticity still has power. In a world hungry for spectacle, Samuel L. Jackson's quiet walk away had spoken louder than any headline ever could.